Hello and welcome to this video presentation entitled Merging Language, Culture and Technology in an EFL Context. I'm Tiare, a current PhD student at the University of Queensland, Australia, and the author of this ongoing study. As information communication technologies have gradually entered English as a foreign language teaching settings, so it has the realization that a systematic implementation of ICTs in classroom practice does not involve a revolutionary process, but rather a progressive one. In promoting such change, research has identified support for teachers' education and teacher training as key elements for a sustainable use of ICTs in English as a foreign language teaching settings. At the very core of what language teachers do in the classroom lies their cognitions, nurturing elements of their profession. This ongoing study, therefore, explores teachers' views on the importance of teaching EFL from a transnational perspective in Chile, and the way such views intersect with their use of ICTs in the classroom, as well as to the role of teacher training in leading into reorienting teachers' cognitions towards educational innovations. This study was initially inspired by my experience as an EFL learner in Chile and by my 6 years of experience teaching the language at schools. The latter gave me the opportunity to observe, experience, and reflect upon the state of minimal technology implementation for EFL teaching at schools, despite the extent of available technologies in and outside the classroom. According to the latest national census, the total population in Chile is 18.27 million. Of these, 93 owns at least one mobile phone, 49% laptops, while 18% tablets. In terms of internet access, the majority of the Chileans surveyed do have access to the internet, which they mostly access via their mobile phones. Similar reports on the topic reveal that Chileans tend to prefer purchasing mobile data to access the internet through their phones, as opposed to paying home internet plans. Reasons for this relate to usability and pricing. In terms of the use of internet based on location, the majority of the Chileans that access the internet are located in inner city areas. While online, the websites Chileans tend to visit the most per day are Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Technologies inside the classroom may vary based on school type. In Chile, there are three main types of schools: public, semi-private, and private schools. The main difference between them is that public schools get all their funds from the state, semi-private from the state and parents, and private get their funds only from the parents. There are currently more than 11,000 schools in Chile. The majority of them are semi-private schools located in urban city areas. The minimum standard for technology resources in Chile schools is a computer lab and slide projectors. Cell phones are not included in the inventory of minimal standard equipment. However, these are allowed to be used by the students in the classroom for pedagogical purposes only. The Chilean EFL curriculum also plays an important role in defining the technologies in use in Chilean classrooms. The EFL curriculum has different areas of focus that include critical thinking, communicative language learning, intercultural competence, and the use of ICTs to support learning. As for the latter, these are defined as internet use, word processing, different types of software, podcasts, online conversations, among others. In terms of usage, technologies in the Chilean EFL curriculum are mainly expected to support writing and skills related to information search and information processing, overlooking the value of technologies for intercultural language learning, for example. Introducing such view would allow teachers to identify new opportunities for authentic intercultural language learning that they can customize to the specific needs of their students. But this is all from a curriculum perspective, hence the need for research on determining teachers' technology practices for intercultural language learning in the classroom. In exploring the place of culture and intercultural learning within the curriculum, intercultural competence is predominantly associated to the development of intercultural awareness, and it only crosses over with task-based learning and genre. To promote intercultural awareness, the curriculum suggests teachers to encourage curiosity in their students about learning from the lifestyles in other countries, and compare these experiences with that of their own. However, there are no orientations on how to go beyond awareness of intercultural differences to actually think about on how to solve problems that may emerge from these differences. Despite the presence of ICTs at schools and in the curriculum, Studies indicate that most teachers in Chile do not use ICTs frequently in their teaching activities. Therefore, teachers' systematic use of ICTs in classroom practice remains a challenge in Chile. Some of the reasons for an infrequent use include poor teacher preparation on pedagogical uses of ICTs at university level in Chile, insufficient time for in-service teachers to learn about and practice with software, low reliability of technology hardware, and a lack of teacher training with a reflective focus on technology practice. This review revealed therefore that teachers' likelihood of using ICTs in classroom practice seems to be constrained by multiple factors that include lack of institutional support, a low reliability on the technology equipment at hand, underdeveloped pedagogical orientations within the curriculum, and inappropriate teacher training. This raised questions about the degree such factors influence teacher likelihood of using ICTs in the classroom and the ingredients that teacher cognitions bring into the mix. Contemporary research into the nature of the relationship between language teacher cognitions and their classroom practices have revealed that language teacher cognitions do not necessarily match with their classroom practices, that contextual factors influence teacher cognitions and their practices as well, and that teacher education has a transformative effect in teachers' cognitions and practice. Most of these studies, however, have been focused on the teaching of specific curriculum areas such as grammar, reading, and writing at university level only. There is therefore a need for expanding the scope to other curriculum areas such as technology, specifically in exploring the impact of teachers' cognitions on technology practice, as this would enable to gain a better understanding of the relationship between teacher cognitions and their practice. A question often addressed in the protocol literature is, does technology shape pedagogy or does pedagogy shape technology? And findings have reported that teachers use technologies based on their cognitions. The teachers' beliefs of what constitutes good teaching influence their use of ICTs. And teachers hold positive attitudes toward ICTs, however, they are reluctant to abandon their established teaching routines. Conversely, studies on technology practices shaping cognition have revealed that instances of support, such as teacher network building, institutional support for professional development, and availability of technology resources, may encourage teachers to adopt constructive pedagogical approaches, and that changes in teachers' cognitions cannot be only attributed to technology practice, but they are also triggered by teachers' reflection upon the influence of the context in shaping their practices. Furthermore, teacher training with a focus on reflection would enable teachers to challenge their current views of what constitute best practices with technology and thereby apply this new understanding into teaching innovations. This, therefore, is important in planning to develop teacher training workshop aimed at introducing teachers to an effective way to integrate technologies to teach EFL from a transnational perspective. A model that seeks to engage students in authentic intercultural language learning across borders is transnational lingua culture in the work of Karen Braziger. The dimensions of lingua culture involve a progression of abilities that range from identifying differences in the use and interpretation of cultural words, encouraging language creativity and reflection upon one's own linguistic identity as a first, second, or foreign language speaker. In studies adopting a transnational view to language teaching and learning, learners explore a variety of lingua culture practices happening outside the classroom, such as comments on YouTube, forums, or wikis, analyze situations that might be problematic for intercultural communication, to then use this as data to reflect upon and plan ways to overcome them. Pedagogical models such as these face with a number of challenges, particularly in terms of practicality. These challenges involve teachers' lack of expertise on the use of emerging technologies, lack of awareness on the multiple language varieties and behaviors online. Recommendations point at designing core workshops tailored to teachers' contextual circumstances and needs, where they can explore, experiment, and reflect upon the use of emerging technologies. Based on the nature of this project, research questions are approached in two phases. The research questions for phase 1 are, can language teacher cognitions predict the likelihood of using ICTs in the classroom, and how much of the total variance in such likelihood can be explained by teachers' context and teacher education? As for phase 2, teachers' use of ICT activities will be explored and the extent these are helpful in promoting students' EFL learning from a transnational perspective. In phase 1, participants are 128 in-service EFL teachers from public, semi-private, and private schools throughout Chile, who were recruited from the Facebook closed group Desarrollo Profesional Docente, Teacher Professional Development. The online questionnaire was used in the project with the purpose of exploring teachers' beliefs, practices, and understandings in relation to their attempts to connect language, culture, and technology in their classes, and the contextual factors that influence such attempts. After undergoing 2 field tests, the questionnaire administered to the 128 participants in Stage 1 consisted of 58 4-point Likert scale items, 48 content items, and 10 of demographic information contained within 5 content areas. Concerning the reliability of the scales, Crombat alpha for each of the sub-scales in this questionnaire was above 0.7, suggesting that the reliability of the instrument was satisfactory. Tables included in appendix. As general exploration of the questionnaire data, descriptive statistics included per cell sample size, observed cell means, standard deviation, and confidence intervals of the sample means, whereas inferential statistics involved multiple linear regression and hierarchical regression. To approach RISO question 1, a multiple linear regression was calculated to predict frequency of using ICTs in classroom practice based on all the variables entered listed in Table 1. Results from multiple regression analysis show that familiarity, importance, and usefulness of ICTs to teach EFL were significant predictors of the respondents' likelihood of using ICTs in classroom practice, with a moderate effect over the later. To approach RISO question 1.2, a hierarchical multiple linear regression was conducted to determine the unique influence that each of the predictor variables had on teachers' adjusted frequency of using ICTs in teaching. After 4 blocks of regression analysis, results show that contextual factors and teacher education are significant predictors of the likelihood of using ICTs in the classroom. In phase 2, participants will be recruited through the online questionnaire to participate in the workshop. Data collection at this phase will include teachers' classroom documents such as sample of handouts, lesson plan, textbooks, and syllabus to identify what ICT-based activities teachers use in their lessons after the workshop. The main aim of the workshop will be to introduce EFL teachers in Chile to an effective way to integrate technologies to teach EFL from a transnational perspective in the classroom. In the workshop, teachers will go through a process of establishing connections between theory and practice, share their thoughts on the affordances of technologies for EFL teaching in group discussions, experiment with ICT resources, and reflect upon their use in order to make new claims about the success of the conditions. At phase 2 of this study, to answer RISO question 2, data will include observational field notes and samples of handouts, textbooks, and syllabus analyzed in terms of its content using NVivo. Whereas to answer RISO question 3, data will include observational field notes, transcripts of interviews, text data from teachers' reflective journals, which will also be analyzed using NVivo. Thank you so much for watching this video presentation on merging language, culture, and technology in a Chilean EFL context. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me at this email. Have a nice day. Bye.